it's going to be a little bit noisy because I'm in an open place, but today I am making a different video. The amplifier is almost done. Okay, whatever is left, it's very small, just a few cabling issues and to make, of course, the top. But today I want to talk about this speaker. This speaker right here is an 8-inch. Okay, it's branded Logitech. I don't really know if the original company for Logitech know that such a product exists. It's just a speaker from China. Okay, it is not it hasn't been labeled anything at the back, but I could just tell from first impressions that this was a good speaker for bass. Okay, it is 8-inch in diameter. It has, as you can see there, a thick coil. Okay, it is, single coil, not double coil, as you can see from there. The impedance, the wattage, it's not indicated, but you can see from the back it has a breather hole, double magnets, and it's quite heavy. Let us check the weight on this baby scale. So let us just check the weight. We are using this baby scale, so just place it here. Let it rest. That is 2.9 kilos, almost 3 kilograms. So this is what I am going to use for bass in that particular amplifier, and I will report on the performance. But the execution on this speaker, it's so good, and I'm actually very curious to know how it's going to perform. So I am going to make an enclosure for this over the next few days, and the first step is to determine the type of enclosure that I want and the dimensions. And so I did this on a piece of paper. I need a cabinet that is 1 foot wide, 15 inches long, and 16 inches deep. The speaker is going to be at the front, and the breather will also be at the front. There are other designs that one can use. You can decide to place the speaker at the back, and bring the breather at the front, or you can do the opposite, where the speaker sits in the front and the breather sits at the back. We know of speakers that rest at the bottom, and then the breather is projecting at the front. So this is what is called a ported cabinet, or a ported enclosure, or a ported baffle, because it's going to have this port right here, and then of course the speaker will be sitting at the front. So these are the dimensions of the panels that we need. We need 6 panels. Actually, we need more than that. We need 6 panels for the enclosure, that is the front and the back, the sides, plus the top and the bottom. But I am going to subdivide in the middle at the level of, between the breather and the speaker. I'm going to subdivide this, at that level, so that it also provides bracing for the side panels and for the front panel to reduce vibrations. I'm also going to determine whether I will need braces for the other panels. So the type of wood that I've chosen to use is an MDF. You can also use a chipboard, but of late I don't like chipboards because it tends to give, it tends to become laborious when it comes to finishing, because when that board is cut, you do not have clean sides to work with. But MDF is homogeneous, whether it's cut from the front, whether you cut across, whether you cut lengthwise, it gives you the same finish from the cut edges as the board itself, as the like this edge is just going to be as good as this surface right here. So it becomes much easier to do the finishing. Okay, so this is how the board was divided. I had to do a bit of adjustments, but this is how the board was divided, and I did this so that we make the work of dividing the board to become easier, so that we spend less time on the machine, because it is the same place that I'm buying the board, and it is also the same place where we are doing the subdivisions. So I was just making this right here to ease the work. But I've also worked in places where you just present the pieces that you need, and they feed it into a computer, and the computer just draws how it's going to be divided, and they use the same software to feed into the machine, so you have pieces coming out that are exact measurement. But this one we are using a foot, to determine the measurements, and you might find some areas are a little bit off, but the one that is done with a computer, it's actually very accurate and can give very good results. So for the other materials that we need is a wood glue, because we need these panels to be airtight, nails, of course, and hammer, and a few more tools, and a few other tools. So these are the pieces. As you can see, these are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in number. These are 2. Of course, these are for the sides. This is for the top and bottom. This is for the back, and this is for the front. So the front piece is what will have, the openings for the speaker and openings for the breather. So as was illustrated in that diagram, I'm going to have the speaker sitting, at that position right there, like that. Okay. Then we'll also have the breather sitting at this position. I'll put the breather at this position right here. So this is the board that I'm going to make cuts. I'm going to make provisions for the breather and provisions for the speaker. And this will be the front panel. And then we will have the rest coming into place. The side panels, the back, the top, and the bottom. Okay, so I am trusting that this speaker is going to give me adequate bass for the amplifier that I was making, which is almost being completed. So for these pieces, this was a 4x4 3/4. This is 3/4 thickness. It was initially a 4x4 board that we got these pieces plus a few more that you can see here. This is just one big piece that is left, plus that a small piece and these 2 small ones. So that is what was left from the 4 feet by 4 feet board. So if you are doing an 8-inch baffle, then it means that you will need a 4x4 board with just a few pieces left that are not enough to make another cabinet. So it will just be enough to make one cabinet and probably leave pieces for another cabinet, though it won't be adequate for the same baffle that we are making. Okay, so the next video I am going to upload, it will be, these pieces will already be joined with the nails and the glue as we said, and I'll already have made the necessary holes, and the speaker will actually be fitting in it. So see you in that video after I have done the joinery.